So the Sangha is the community of Buddhist monks and nuns in Myanmar. It's a very large community, more than 500,000 individuals. However, in Myanmar Buddhism, the nuns have a much less influential role. They receive much less patronage, much less donations, and they have much less influence over society as well. So this is really a male-dominated religious structure. And Buddhism is very important culturally in Myanmar. It's a very religious country, it's a very Buddhist country, and so monks particularly have an enormous amount of influence over all aspects of life in Myanmar. Throughout successive eras in Myanmar, the religious community and monks have been at the forefront of political struggles. They were key in the anti-colonial movement and the struggle against British rule. They were key after independence at various moments of political turmoil, at the front line of protests and having an enormous influence. So I think the expectation was, after the military coup in Myanmar 2 years ago, that the monks would play a significant role in the demonstrations and in the movement against the coup. But that never really happened. The monkhood hasn't really been involved either in strongly supporting the coup or in the anti-coup movement, the resistance movement either. Some individual monks have been very prominent on one side or the other, but the Sangha as a whole has been rather silent. And that's very significant. But also it raises the question, why? Why has the Sangha been silent this time? That's not a simple question. There's a quite complicated set of answers to that. But to boil it down, the Sangha was politically conflicted after the coup. They clearly saw the public sentiment was overwhelmingly against the coup. At the same time, many of the monks didn't feel comfortable taking a position in opposition to the coup, because that entailed taking a position in support of the NLD and the ousted government. And that government had cracked down quite successfully on radical Buddhist nationalism, the very conservative forces who'd been very powerful. But the NLD had managed to kind of constrain, and so they felt that the NLD was not a political force that they really wanted to give their backing to. On the other hand, they didn't feel comfortable supporting a very violent military. They knew that would set them against public opinion, and so most remained kind of in this conflicted position and not taking a clear stance. The last point is that the anti-coup resistance movement, led by the National Unity Government, has had a very different political flavour to much politics over recent decades in Myanmar. It's been youth-led. There've been a lot of young women at the forefront of that movement. Many of the young people are rejecting the political orthodoxies of the past, but they're also questioning the traditional role of Buddhism as a very male-dominated, conservative structure in society. It's a political landscape that doesn't look very enticing to a Buddhist clergy. And for that reason, the monks have taken a kind of a back seat. Now, the absence of the monks has left that space to be filled by the younger generation, by the young women leaders, and that's been very significant. But we shouldn't think that this new politics that is being built, is already a job done. Yes, the anti-coup resistance movement has managed to forge new alliances, a new way of thinking, and that is very significant. But Myanmar society is very conservative, it's very religious, and so there will be at some point a conservative backlash to this more secular, more multi-ethnic kind of politics. So the implications of this are that anyone who's working on social stability, intercommunal relationships in Myanmar, organizations doing community development work, doing work on intercommunal harmony, these kind of organizations, it's important to continue to engage with the Buddhist Sangha and to understand their important role in society. And it's important to be alert for signs of intercommunal problems, of tensions that can arise, and be ready for a situation where these tensions reassert themselves.